some of our more sophisticated customers are really leaning into that partnership with marketing to get the content packs customized by all the different things that we care about, right? By industry, by sales stage, and really making it easy so that the sales rep doesn't have to go pull a bunch of disparate pieces of collateral and figure out how to tell them the story themselves, right? And then marketing gets all that feedback. And for enablers, it is one of those moments that forces the entire organization to engage with you to really empower the sellers, which is a pretty cool move that we're seeing.
Welcome everyone to our webinar today. We're really excited to have you here and talk about our new course that we're launching, the Digital Selling with Client Sites. My name is Danica Grenard. I am a Customer Success Manager here at SalesHood. I have Josh here with me. Josh, feel free to introduce yourself.
Josh Cruikshank. I run the sales team at SalesHood, heading into my 7th year with Eli, running the sales team.
Perfect. So, like I said, super excited for today to dive into the Digital Selling with Client Sites course. So, what to expect today? Josh is going to walk us through some industry insights, and then I'll talk about client sites and talk of a customer story that we've been shouting from the rooftops, but it's great to include. We'll walk through the course and the materials, and then we'll wrap up with any questions that you all have. So if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. If we don't get to them throughout the webinar, we'll make sure we answer them at the end. So with that being said, Josh, take it away.
Awesome. Appreciate the intro, Danica. Yeah, so when Eli asked me to be on this webinar, the request was, share the perspective of a sales leader whose team is pioneering the road on digital selling, has been through the course that Danica is going to walk us through and is using it every day. And so, why did we get so? Let's start with why did we get so excited about digital selling and client sites in particular? So I'm sure many of you have seen out there. It's one of the toughest times to be a seller in a long time. 30 to 35% of reps are making their number. So win rates are down, deals are taking longer. The economic buyer is moving higher and higher in an organization, and so strong deal execution and forecast confidence are huge priorities for sellers and sales leaders alike. The research that Gartner has been doing tells us that 80% of B2B sales interactions are moving to digital channels within the next 2 years. So fewer and fewer opportunities to wow our prospects with live meetings. And so every moment that our buyers are connecting with us digitally needs to be more impactful and more engaging. By 2026, 30% of B2B cycles will run almost exclusively through digital sales rooms for the entire customer life cycle. So, the great news for us folks who are a little ahead of the curve is, if it's only going to be 30% in 3 years, what we're seeing is customers and folks in the industry that move to a really engaging digital selling motion have a real competitive advantage. And that's what we're seeing as a business at SalesHood right now. I was talking to Joe on my team, and his quote to me was, digital selling and client sites is the best thing to happen to his sales career in the last 30 years, because it really allows him to collaborate with his champion, build out a story that can be shared, with the large buying committees that are happening, and allows both of them to see where folks are engaging from their peers to the actual economic buyers and when they're engaging. Super important. Quick example story for you, Danica, and folks out there. One of my reps, Brad, was working on a large deal recently, going up against the two largest competitors in the space. And he was able to partner with our champion, share content, watch how folks engage. We ended up having, I think, 85 different visits to the client site, and we could see when the CRO was in there, when the CMO was in there. And once we ended up closing that deal, the feedback we got was not only did you guys add a ton more value in the solution that you offered, but the buying process was so much easier with you, and you added so much more value that it was a no-brainer for us to go with you. And they expect now the same things from you, Danica, as you're engaging with them as customers, right? So with that, I'll jump back in as we go along here, but maybe time for you to open up and show people, what this course looks like, and a little bit about how client sites work.
Yeah, thank you. That is great information to have, especially as things adjust over time and have moved towards the digital selling landscape today. It's important to have like the right tools to make your team successful. And that's how we do it with client sites. And it's great to understand the value of it and what it provides for you organization. So I'm going to start off with a customer story. We have screamed this customer story from the absolute rooftop because we love to celebrate our customers. And one of them is Shelby Powell and Caitlin Brannon over at Smart Recruiters. I believe Shelby is on the call right now. So hi, Shelby. It's great to see you here. When talking about digital selling and adjusting for the modern sales motion today, I met with Shelby and we were like, how can we adjust? What tools are needed? And Client Sites was that tool that was going to elevate the sales process and the execution for her teams. So we met together. We talked about curating content and creating content packs and templates, which we'll get to in a moment, and setting her teams up for success with that curated content. And then what happened is a small group of sales reps started using the client sites, right? And they were incredibly successful, super valuable for those sellers. And like wildfire, it spread across and was more widely adopted across their organization. And then especially when it comes to measuring the impact and positive revenue outcomes of client sites, Shelby and I got together and we looked at some information, and we saw from the use of client sites that reps that use client sites saw a 15% increase in deal velocity. So deals were moving faster. We saw a 400% increase in deal size. So with the consistency of sharing content and that curated content that Shelby put together, the contacts that were accessing the site were engaging with additional information related to Smart Recruiters, and that correlated with the positive and large increase in deal size. And then reps that used a client site were 2 times more likely to close than reps that did not use a client site. And then finally, we looked over 17 of the most recent deals at the time, and we saw there was 10 deals that closed lost. And we noticed that of those 10, none of them had client sites or used client sites whatsoever. And then there were 7 that closed 1, and all of those deals had client sites. So when you talk about the value of client sites and understanding the impacts, you can see the data and what's happening within the buyer's journey and how people are engaging, who's engaging, and help get a better understanding of what client sites can do for your sellers and for your organization.
Yeah, the thing I love about that is, we have so many enablers on the call today, and we know this is our lifeblood. It's so hard as enablers to correlate outcomes to all of the great things we do with training and content and coaching, and this is one of those areas where you can really make an impact in such a quick time. And as you said, I love that word wildfire. When you drive engagement with your sellers and have them coming to your enablement activity, and then showing that they're selling more, that's when we as enablers get credit for all the hard work we do, because we can show that we're really moving the needle.
100%. And then when we think about that small group of team and how do we replicate that success, we can do so with client sites and templates and content packs, which I'll dive into here in a second. Client sites were designed to drive that repeatable sales play. And like Shelby did, she created a template, and I'll show you an example of a template here. Here's where you can create that and drive consistency with the content sharing and the efficiency portion for your people that are utilizing client sites, starting with templates, whether it's for prospecting or throughout the buyer's journey. There's content that's curated for your users, for your reps, for your customer success professionals within your organization. They can click in and preview any of the templates, and you'll notice it's curated already with that content and it's organized. Like I said, you're driving that consistency with your sales execution as well. Another way we can do so with that consistency piece and replication of success is with that content pack. Here in content packs, here's a client side example that I have. You can see my customized welcome video. I already have it organized with my content that I've created from a template. But say I need additional content related to a specific use case, content packs are where that marketing content can come to life, where you can add additional content like we talked about with smart recruiters. Sharing extra content and additional information and resources can help impact your deal size. And you can do so with content packs here as well. Like I said, whatever the use case, whether it's for prospecting or throughout the buyer's journey, you can click in, and with just a few steps, you have curated content that's bundled together and ready to be dropped directly into your site. It's already organized for you. And this is, like I said, that replication and consistency piece in your execution. And then finally, with client sites, when you share them out, and it's easy to share them out, you can copy the shareable link in a personalized email, or you can share it directly within the site via the contacts email. But what you'll notice, and this is the boosting forecast confidence piece, you'll notice as reps are sharing out the site and contacts are engaging within the site, all of that engagement data is being tracked within the client site here. So this is like, people always say data is gold, and this is where you can utilize the insights to understand where your contacts are at. And like I said, boost that forecast confidence. I can see who's engaging in my site, what they're engaging in, how long they're engaging in it, all from this dashboard. And when you think about, like, for prospecting, for example, say this is a prospecting site that I were to share out. And as soon as a prospect is accessing this site, I'm notified. I can see who's accessing it. I can get an understanding of what they're accessing. And then I could be very intentional with my outreach and say, hey, and shoot that email out right as it's top of mind and that prospect is engaging in that content. And then say, hey, I saw you engaging in this information. I'd love to hop on a call with you in the next day or two and give you a better and more detailed overview of this information and help move things along, right? So the insights tab, this is where you get that data is gold piece. And Josh, I'm sure you have a ton of great stories and experience using the insights tab. I'd love to hear more about how you and your teams have utilized this.
As every deal gets more and more crucial, and the need to be confident in pipeline and forecast becomes even more crucial. Every deal review now that I do, we're going through the medic letters, making sure we've got the metrics, we've got the economic buyer, we're locked in, and then we're validating it against the usage in client sites to see, okay, we think we're here in the deal. Show me how folks are engaging. Show me that that they're opening the proposal, that it's being forwarded to the leaders. And we're seeing tremendous correlation between engagement on a client site and confidence in a deal closing. So when a rep comes to me and says, oh yeah, this one's definitely closing, and we've had one junior person visit the site in the last 3 weeks, we're having a different conversation about how confident they should be on that deal.
Now that we've talked about client sites and how to use the insights and what their client sites are used for, one of the most important pieces about client sites is the training that you provide to your reps so that they can use this tool efficiently and successfully. And that's where this digital selling course comes into play. We've spent some time, working through what are best practices, industry insights, and we've developed this two-course program. And I will pull it up for you right now. There's 2 separate courses. The first one is digital selling with client sites, and the second one is the client sites training and practice. So the first course, Eli walks through a ton of incredible information. He walks through industry insights and the digital selling landscape as we see it today. He walks through the best practices and the benefits of using client sites for digital selling and curating content best practices, and then additional information like how to share content, what content you should be sharing, and the why behind the content you should be sharing. And then additionally, on top of Eli's incredible videos, there's that reinforcement piece. So you can get your people, especially as empowering your team to sell better and sell successfully. This is where that reinforcement piece comes in, where users or whoever's walking through this course can understand and process all this incredible information from Eli and start thinking about how to apply it to their day-to-day, whether it's in prospecting or throughout the course of the buying journey. This is where the magic happens with that knowledge, process, and best practice piece. So like I said, there's 2 separate huddles. The first one is solely focused more on theory, best practices, knowledge, and understanding. And then we have a second course. This is the client site training and practice course. This is the application piece, and it's product focused. So now that your reps understand digital selling in today's landscape, they understand best practices in the industry that they're selling in today, they can take all that knowledge and understanding and get more tactical with building out client sites of their own. So this course will walk your users through step-by-step how to build the client site. We talk about welcome videos by roles, best practices so that your people are standing out when they're engaging with those contacts, and how to use templates and content packs. And then we dive into the insights as well. And then finally, to wrap it all up and conclude the 2 courses, there's a final certification where your teams will build their own client site that they can use that day for an active deal. So they'll create the client site, they'll use the curated content, organize it, and then finally to demonstrate their understanding of all the best practices that they've learned from Eli and the more granular details like organizing, curating your client site, they'll walk through their client site for their final certification, talking about who their audience is, what content they're sharing with this audience and why, how they've organized it, so on and so forth. So those are the 2 courses that we have available. Additionally, if you're thinking, okay, this is great, I want to get started, but where do I start? We've also created a resource here in the guides. This is our pre-launch checklist. And especially for empowering your teams, what are those prerequisites that need to be put into place to ensure a successful launch of client sites? That's where the pre-launch checklist comes into play. It's what content to curate it, how to curate it, what are the templates that you should be building, how to organize your content and tag it accordingly, so that way when you do launch the courses, your reps have all the information and content needed to be successful right away. So we have that. And if you're curious on getting started and you're ready to get your hands on the course and the information, feel free to reach out to your dedicated CSM. You can reach out to anyone here at SalesHood as well. We're more than happy and very, very excited to hop on a call and talk you through it a little bit more in depth. And this content is free and available for early access. So if you'd like that early access, shoot us an email. But very soon, this will be launching in our marketplace. Very, very exciting stuff. I know lots of people have been excited to get their hands on it. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Josh, was there anything else to add?
Yeah, thanks, Danica. So some great points from John and Shelby in the comments. You know, we talk a lot as enablers about how we get a seat at the table, and you know, data and showing impact is so key. And so, you know, John talks about, you know, they've created at Capado, which has seen tremendous results with client sites, content packs for, you know, all the different phases of the sales process. So building out mutual plans, business cases, you know, how to engage with procurement so that throughout every stage of the sales process, the next logical thing happens for sellers and they can find exactly what they need. The other thing that we're seeing is that appreciation engagement with marketing as well, right? Because now marketing can really see, you know, not only by individual piece of content, but you know what packets of content are making a difference in the sales process. And let's do more of that with our marketing content and less of what folks don't engage in at all. The other thing I think would be fun before we get to questions, Danica, is you know, just a little teaser conversation on where AI assistant is going, and I'm getting pretty excited. The product team's been teasing out previews of the technology to be able to get off the phone with the prospect, get your summarized notes, the recommended email follow-up, but then the auto built client site with the recommended content based on those conversations that we're having. How do you think sellers will react to that when we get there in the next couple months?
Listen, I think there's going to be a loud cheer across all of our customer base. They're really excited about this, especially, they're busy. This helps with the efficiency piece. You're moving things along. You can focus on your deals and communicating with your contacts and less on the minute things. It's all readily available within your client site in one location. It's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, the other thing I think is so important right now is, digital selling and client sites are not the kind of thing that you don't have to have every single seller bought into to have a huge impact as well. That story you told about smart recruiters, it's all about making it available. And when groups start to use it, the impact is so quick that it's that rare moment as enablers where folks are raising their hand and saying, "Hey, I want what Danica has over there." And how's she doing that? How'd she close those 10 deals when I'm not closing anything via my email sales process?
Exactly. Yeah. And we've designed it to be turnkey too, so you can get your teams ready to go. So when your sellers start deploying and using client sites, maybe there's a team that hasn't, got really invested in it, and they're talking with other team members and hearing all the success. That content is ready to be deployed and ready to go, whether you roll it out next month, or maybe you deploy client sites at your SCO that's coming up in the next few months. We have it ready to go for when people start chomping at the bit and being like, "Hey, I want to learn more. Like, tell me how to use this. How should I use it? What are best practices?" So that's why we have this course in. And like you were saying, it really does spread like wildfire. We see typically a pilot that goes out with a small team, and then they are incredibly successful. And then my champions is like, "Hey, the pilot's going really well." When I check in with them, I now have 3 other teams adopting it. We're using it across a variety of different industries. So it really proves itself when it comes to value, but then having all that impact that we can measure, like we did with smart recruiters, just makes it 10 times more incredible for your organization and for your teams.
Let's talk for a second here about the use cases. You mentioned prospecting, in deal. I know Ewing Foley's using client sites for working with their customers and expanding out to their channel partners as well. We've seen some pretty cool use cases at Data Indoor where they're going to conferences and setting up client sites to differentiate themselves at those conferences and really stand out. What are some of your favorites?
Yeah, so one that I think is a great idea is for prospecting. I've heard one customer the seller creates one site, and they send it out to a variety of different contacts. And then they can see who's engaging and hitting on that content. And then they can go and be more directional with that outreach, right? So you have better understanding and insight onto where to prospect. I've even heard it being used for onboarding. So sharing out the content prior to meeting with specific managers. My champion has created an onboarding client site, which is more internal for internal purposes, but a really interesting and unique use case. And then I use them multiple times a day as a customer success professional. And I share my content that is either requested or would be beneficial for my customer success in the client site. So that's my favorite way personally, because that's how I engage in it. And it's a great way to have everything in one location for my sake, for their sake, and see where the content or what content is most useful and who's engaging in what. So there's a variety of different ways that people have used it. And it's been really interesting to hear feedback of how people are using it across all of my customers.
Yeah, and some of our more sophisticated customers are really leaning into that partnership with marketing to get the content packs customized by all the different things that we care about, right? By industry, by sales stage, and really making it easy so that the sales rep doesn't have to go pull a bunch of disparate pieces of collateral and figure out how to tell them the story themselves, right? And then marketing gets all that feedback. And for enablers, it is one of those moments that forces the entire organization to engage with you to really empower the sellers, which is a pretty cool move that we're seeing.
Yeah. And especially too, like during the sales cycle, whether it's Brad or Joe or Nate, they'll create a client site that's being shared out and engaged in. And then during the handoff to CS, I am introduced into that client site as an editor. I can see all the communication that's been going on prior to my introduction to the account. I can see what content they're engaging in, what's important to them, review any important documents. And it's just a great way to stay aligned across different departments using the same tool. So another great way to utilize and leverage client sites for myself and for the sales directors as well, internally, to drive that alignment across our accounts.
Jay's got a great idea here about using the AI assistant to help SDRs with what they've learned, create custom client sites as well. I think we'll see that coming pretty quickly, because it's all about cutting through the noise as a prospector and really personalizing. So I talked about this on a panel I did on AI a few weeks ago. It's easier to personalize in our outreach. It's harder for the SDRs to be able to really personalize in the conversation and follow up. This is a great way to do that. The goal today was to roll out the digital selling course, make sure that everyone knew that was available for those customers on the call who haven't experienced client sites. Every customer has access to them, right, Danica?
The client sites?
Yes.
Yes.
So every rep can use client sites today, and really excited and appreciate our customers pushing the envelope here, and excited for the things that'll be coming out in the near future that really respond to what we're hearing.
Yeah, really exciting. I know a lot of people, client sites have been a very, very hot topic. Lots of demand for more education about best practices for digital selling. And that's why we created this course, to make it easy to roll out for our customers. And like I said before, so much good content in there from Eli about industry insights and best practices. So that education piece, along with the application piece, it's turnkey content. Like I said, available to roll out. Everyone has access to client sites today. I already have a couple emails in my inbox of people that are ready for early access to the content. So that's really exciting.
I'll finish on my side with a quick story from Joe, one of my sellers, who told me he's starting to see his first sales cycles where his communication after the initial meeting is 100% through the chat functionality in client sites, where everyone in the account and then everyone on our team are all collaborating within the client site, which is pretty good indication of where we're going, getting out of all that noise in the inbox, and trying to send 20 meg files across to a security company. It's pretty cool to see it actually coming to fruition.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. Like we said, we're so excited to launch our new course, and thank you for spending time with us today. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat if we haven't answered them already. But we wish you all a wonderful rest of your week and your day. And like I said, feel free to reach out to anyone on the SalesHood team for questions.
Yeah, keep Danica busy, please.
Busy is good. I like being busy.
Thanks all.